Welcome to another edition of the Burrow podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm joined here today with Michael. Michael, how are you doing after that loss last week?
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but we move on.
We do, and no better way to move on than against the Raiders down in Canberra. Not an easy task, is it?
No, it's going to be another tough game.
Yeah, well, we've played them a total of 61 games, and the head-to-head has the Raiders 37 and us as 24. Down in GIA Stadium where we're playing this week, nice and cold. Going to be nice and cold down there. The Raiders hold the edge there 12-7. So.
Yeah, well, they've won the last three, I think, down there. And when was it? I think it was 21 we last won.
Yeah.
And, yeah, good game by Benji that day.
Oh, he carved up that day, didn't he? But I think in that three, they've had a 3-game winning streak. I think one, maybe two of those have been at Accor Stadium. Our biggest win, believe it or not, was their very first game, 37-7. We also beat them by the same amount of points. It was 32-2 in 2013. That was round 16 at ANZ Stadium. So the first one was at Redfern. And our biggest defeat was against them was in 2016. That was at ANZ Stadium. But anyway, the team list dropped the other day and not many changes, a couple of great returns for us, but the team list has Latrell Mitchell fullback, Alex Johnston and Isaiah Tass on the wings, Jack Whiten and Campbell Graham in the centres. Welcome back Cody Walker, and he's the captain, with Jamie Humphries partnering him in the halves. In the front row, we've got Jai Arrow and Keon Kaloamatangi. Saliva Havili is our hooker. Ewan Aiken and Tallis Duncan are part of the back row, with Lachlan Hubner at lock. On the bench, we have Jaden Sullivan taking that 14th spot, Sean Kepi, Liam LeBlanc comes into the side, Junior Totola, and David Mawali is the 18th man. On the extended bench is Jai Gray, Tyrone Munro, Thomas Fletcher, and Jacob Host.
Yeah, well, it's great to get Cody and Jack back, obviously. They're going to strengthen our team for sure. Like the last couple of games, I think we've lacked a bit in the halves and creativity and that. So Cody definitely helped there. Yeah. And it's good to see Tyrone back, even though he's not in the 17 at the moment.
Well, could we possibly see him end up being in the side, or do you think they're just going to stick him in New South Wales Cup and get a bit of games under his belt?
Oh, look, I think, it's probably best to bring him back through the lower grades just so he can get his confidence back. And because, the last couple of times he's come back, he basically re-injured himself again. So, yeah, I think coming back through the lower grades will be the best for him.
Yeah, he's certainly struggled, hasn't he, with injury. It's the third or fourth time he's done his collarbone in round one this year. But it's going to be great to have him back, especially with his speed, something that we've lacked on the edges. I know AJ's got a bit of speed on him, but nothing like Tyrone, does he?
Oh, no, definitely not. Tyrone's like probably the fastest in our club. And it's definitely something we've lacked. It's something that Canberra have a lot of. I think that's a bit of a worrying thing too for me.
Well, the move to have Isaiah Tass on the wing, I'm not a fan of it. I think his best position's left centre, and that's where he plays his best. I thought he was a little bit underwhelming, especially with that missed tackle that led to a try on Chance Nickel-Cookstad. And I just wonder if he's going to be able to deliver there on the wing and hold his own there against a great back line.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I agree with you. His best position is definitely centre and left side, obviously. That's where he plays most of the time. But he's been moved around a lot this year. So it's probably hard for him to get any consistency.
Yeah, well, he did have a few games of a stretch there in the left centre. I thought he did quite a good job in a few of those games, but I just thought last week it was a little bit off. But he is named in the side, and I suppose we do expect him to play. But I also think that there's every chance that we may see Tyrone.
Oh, look, there's definitely a chance, I think, he's been named on the extended bench, so there's always a chance. But, yeah, I expect Tass will still play myself.
Well, I always... I understand if they don't pick him. I know because there's been a few games that he's, especially he came back against, was it Cronulla last year when he did his collarbone, he came back and within, 15 minutes of that game or something, re-injured his collarbone and then we're missing him for the rest of the game. So it is a bit of a risk, and if he does it, he contests it in New South Wales Cup. So I understand that sort of thinking there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's what I was saying earlier where, like give him some time to get his confidence and in the injury more so than his own ability.
Couple of other changes. You see Leon LeBlanc come onto the bench and make way for David Moali. How do you see that?
No, I don't mind the move actually. Liam's been very good for us when he's played. I love his intensity in defence especially, and he has a lot of good carries as well and quick play of the balls. So I think that's a positive for us.
Well, I just wonder if it's a case of just rotating players because over the last few weeks we've seen that first it was Junior made way for Liam, then the next week it was Sean Kepi made the way for Junior to come back in, and then Liam made his way for Sean Kepi, and now it's Davey making way for Liam. So I wonder if there's a bit of a rotation kind of thing happening.
Yeah, look, it's probably not a bad idea too, to give them a bit of a freshen up and give them some more game times too, because being on the reserve bench, you don't get as much time on the field some of the time, like a lot of the time. So, they'll go back to lower grades and play probably 60, 70 minutes, some of them.
Yeah, well, you've also got the other change was with Cody back, it was always a case of who was going to get the 14, and this week Bud Sullivan's been named and Jai Gray's been named at fullback in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, well, I said to somebody else, like, maybe it's a chance to give Jai some more game time because he hasn't played a lot the last few weeks. And as we know, he's going to be needed when State of Origin comes, to take over from Latrell.
Well, we know Wayne likes to have a smaller bloke on the bench, and he's got that. Last week it was Jai, this week it's Bud, but it's about covering a few positions as well, especially hooker, whereas last week with injuries, we've seen the Jai Harrow end up moving to hooker. Hopefully that doesn't have to happen, and it'd be interesting to see how Bud does handle the hooking role.
Yeah, well, he did it a couple of times earlier in the season, I thought, and he did all right. So, yeah, obviously don't know how much time he's going to get there, but
I actually don't think he got the opportunity to because Pete he was on the bench when Pete was playing, but we had that many injuries during games that he had to end up playing. At one stage, I think he was playing centre in round one against the Dolphins. He was playing centre. He's played all sorts of positions, but I don't know if he's had the chance to play hooker yet.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, he did play a lot of different positions. I think he might have even played a little bit in the back row some stage there. But he was all over the place earlier.
Last week we seen only one forward made over 100 metres, and we know that's when that's happening. And Keon's playing in the front row. We know it's going to be him. He ended up making I think 218 or something like that. Another 200 plus metre game from him in the front row.
Yeah, look, he's been going really well since moving back in or moving to the front row. And I think, we won't be moving him from that position.
No, but he needs some support, doesn't he? And we can't have guys not, there's players there that they've got to be making over 100 metres as well. We can't just rely on him to be the only guy making big metres. And I know we get a lot of our backs making good yards and that. Campbell Graham's been great this year. Last week, Alex Johnston did a great job, as well as Latrell got over 100 metres. He doesn't get the type of metres that Jai Gray does, but he certainly makes up for it in other areas with Latrell, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Yeah, he's never going to be, like your consistently 200 to 300 metre. Right? But, yeah, he's the way he's creates space and that for his outside backs is second to none, really.
Yeah, well, we've got Sliver's also going to be playing hooker again, and he's done a pretty good job filling in for Pete. But we've got Pete coming back in a few weeks as well as Brandon Smith. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Liver, whether they have him on the bench playing more in the middle. Because it's certainly a guy that can get a bit of a roll on, and he's very good at not getting on. They don't get him on his back, and he gets a quick play of the ball, doesn't he?
He does, but yeah, I think if like Brandon Smith comes back and Pete's there, I don't know that we can have Liver in the side as well. Him and Brandon are very similar players, I think.
Well, you got Ewan Aiken. He brings up game at 200, and he's going down and playing against the opponents where he made his debut when he was playing for the Dragons against Canberra.
Yeah, so congratulations to you and making 200. Obviously, he hasn't played many for us, but he's still doing a great job, especially in the back row. I think that's definitely his best position.
Anyone who just plays, one first-grade game, they've done a lot to get there. To play 200 is certainly a great achievement, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Not many players actually get to that stage when you think about it compared to how many actually play. There's very few that actually go on and make 200.
Well, there's another special achievement happening down there on Sunday. Not for us, but for the Raiders, and that's Josh Papali'i. He's going to be the most capped Raiders player, and we remember how special that was when we're there at the SCG when South played the Dragons. Was that 2014, wasn't it? When John Sutton broke Bob McCarthy's record.
Yeah, and that's a thing, like these achievements that players make, it's all like we don't celebrate them enough, I don't think.
But how did you feel that day? As a fan, you're seeing these players play for your club and to become the most capped. How did that make you feel when you're seeing Sutton finally break it after we weren't old enough to remember when Bob McCarthy broke that record for us? How did it make you feel?
Oh yeah, very. It was a great day. I felt very proud to be a South. And you're right, I don't remember Bob McCarthy doing it. I was a bit young, but yeah, seeing Sutto, I've watched him all the way through the juniors and that. To see him come through and make the record was great. And then to go on and play 300 games too was another thing. First one.
We spoke the other day on the podcast with Zane about another special achievement, and that was 200 tries to Alex Johnston. And, I mean, he's not far off now. There's 12 games to go in the regular season. There could be every chance that he breaks it during the semi-finals if we go on a bit of a run, if we make it. There's been a lot of talk about what should happen when he does break it. We've seen in the AFL when special achievements happen, the fans go onto the field. Is that something you'd like to see when Alex Johnston does break it?
Well, yeah, especially if it's like at a home, obviously. Yeah, I'd love to see that happen, see the fans being allowed to go on the field and interact with the player at the moment, It's something that we don't do anymore, because...
Well, with the rules now, with the rules of the game where tries can get taken off, I can see something happen where everyone's getting ready to celebrate or whatever. Hopefully, we'll have some sort of giant banner made up where we can unravel it like we did when Nathan Merritt broke the Rabbitohs record back in the day. But I'd love to see what would happen if we're doing that and it's taken off. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the bunker taking it off in that situation, would you?
Oh, there'd be a huge outcry if that happened. But yeah, it's definitely possible, as we know.
Well, you've got a situation, though, that people going on the field, I think it's a thing that possibly do at the end of the game, make a special presentation, have the fans on the field, that when he does do it, I really think that's something that the NRL should be looking at.
I think it's, it's the least they can do, really. It's a huge achievement to, be the most try-scoring player in the history of the game. Yeah, there definitely should be a presentation at the end of the game.
Well, you mentioned Jack Whiten previously before, and this will be the second time that he's played against Canberra down there in Canberra. Let's just hope that this time he goes to the right treasure sheds.
Yeah, well, after so many years going as the home team, it would be hard to remember which one you actually had to go to.
But speaking of the Raiders, I mean, some people had them as wooden spooners this year. They're certainly far from that. They're second on the ladder and probably the informed side of the competition. Again, just watching them last week, how good they are. They're just strong all over the park. They're forwards. They've got good speed in the backs. They've got creative halves. I mean, where do you see a weakness from them?
Oh, there's not many weaknesses in that team, I don't think. They get a good, go forward and that allows their speedy backs to have plenty of room to move, which is, our outside backs are going to have to be on their game big time on the weekend, I think.
You got strong centres, in Timoko and Sebastian Chris. You got the wingers that are doing great jobs, especially Xavier Savage and KO Weeks. He's becoming one of the best fullbacks in the game, isn't he?
Definitely. And again, that speed, you can't beat it, having plenty of speed. But he's got more than just speed, obviously. He can read the play well, and he has a good passing game as well, because he's played in the halves a lot too in his younger.
Yeah. Well, you got Jamal Fogarty's back just to rub salt in the wound, but then Ethan Strange's really making himself a first-grade footballer, isn't he?
He is, and even the guy who came in to replace Fogarty last week, he's a pretty good player as well. But having Jamal back, he's going to really help with definitely the kicking game. His kicking games are great.
But, we spoke about Josh Papali'i in the front row partnering, probably one of the best props in the game, I think, in Joseph Tarpany. Then you got guys like Hudson Young, you got Corey Horsburgh at lock as well, and then you got the rotation at hooker with Tom Starling, who he didn't play last week, he's back this week, and Owen Paddy. I mean, watching him last week, he just carved the Roosters up, didn't he?
He did, and their forward pack's enormous, really, and they get a lot of offloads too, which is they get that second phase play, which again helps their speedy backs.
Yeah, and then you got someone like Morgan Smith, he's just sitting on the bench as well, so they're strong all over the park, and we're going to be up against it this week, aren't we?
Oh, we certainly are. They like you say, just everywhere, even on the bench, very strong. Yeah, like I say, I don't think there's much of a weakness at all. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah, obviously Latrell Mitchell's going to be our go-to. Last week he almost single-handedly won us that game. Having Cody Walker back, it's just going to give him more room, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And hopefully those two can combine a lot, which will be great. And we certainly need it. If we're going to do any good at all, it has to be on the back of those two players, I think.
Yeah, well, how do you see this game going? Do you see a way that we can actually win this game?
Look, we're always a chance, but we're going to have to minimise our mistakes a lot, because we can't give them the ball too.
It's something we got right this year, isn't it?
It is. We're definitely completing a lot better this year than the last couple of years. And yeah, we're going to have to be even better this week, I think.
Well, this is week 2 of a month stretch where we're playing the top 4 sides. So we really do need to at least get 1 win out of this 4, hopefully 2. But losing to the Warriors last week did hurt, especially when I felt we were in control late in that first half until 5 minutes beforehand where they just took the lead.
Yeah, look, I thought overall, I thought we were actually the better side last week. But obviously there was that period just before halftime and then just after halftime, which really killed us. What was it? They scored for 5 tries during that period.
Yeah, it was a 25-minute period. They scored 5 tries. So that was just not good enough. And they carved us up from dummy half, and Wade Egan certainly took advantage of that. And so did Luke Metcalf, where he scored that length of field try. That was just terrible defence, and if we think it's going to get easier this week, it's certainly not with Starling and Owen Paddy there.
Yeah, no, I think if anything, it's going to get harder, and we're playing, at their home ground as well.
It's going to be very cold as well. Maybe not for you.
Even for me, I think it'll be cool, very cool.
Yeah, well, this week we're going to be in Bay 73, which is the away supporters bay. Certainly be good to see you guys there and getting behind the boys. Make sure you do rug up because it does get cold out down there. Bring extra layers, even though it's a daytime. But we've had a few games we've played 61 times against the Raiders. What are some of your most memorable clashes against them?
Yeah, well, obviously, our first win after being reinstated was obviously a memorable time. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the game, but it was a great win, a very first one, and I'm sure people who did make it celebrated well.
Oh, I was down there. I remember my car broke down, so I had to borrow my mum's car, and I went down with Steve Edwards and Big Dave. We went down there for the trip down, and it was great. We enjoyed the trip down, but it was just a great drive back. When you win down there, the drive back's so much better.
Oh, definitely. And I think from memory, it was a fairly cold night that night too, wasn't it?
Well, it's in Canberra, and even though it was still autumn at that stage, any time down in Canberra at night's cold. So, I mean, we've had some really cold ones down there. You're just shivering. I remember when we beat them in 2000 14. I think Alex Johnson got a double that game. And yeah, it's funny because he's now scored 9 tries against them in 12 games. He scored 5 in the last 4. So hoping he gets across for 1 or 2 more to get closer to that record.
Oh, yeah. And I think we'll need him. Yeah, I remember the one in 2014. Yeah, it was a very cold night too.
Do you remember where we were the week after?
I think we were in Cairns, weren't we?
Exactly. We went from one extreme to the other. Yeah.
And
And that was a Monday night game down in Canberra, and then we're playing on the Sunday. I think we're up in Cairns by the Friday, enjoying the nice warm weather up there.
Yeah, it was definitely a contrast, but I was like, even for me, like I remember I had to rug up that night.
Any other memorable games for you?
You know, there's probably been quite a few, but there was the one where I think can't remember exactly. Dave Taylor scored, I remember.
Oh, okay. I know the one you're talking about because that's one of my most memorable ones. It was on Anzac Day in 2010. We were down 24-6 and we ended up beating them 26-24. And we're actually up early. John Sutton scored a try early to make it 6-0, and then they just ended up just running over the top of us at the rest of that half, and it's all one-way traffic. And then all of a sudden, it's funny because the first try we scored, Sutton put up a bomb, and Nathan Merritt up against the winger caught it. And as once he landed, Merritt just ripped the ball out of him and scored a try. And then there was another one where Chris Sando did a beautiful little chip over the top. Sutton caught it and then passed it into Isaac Luke, who stepped fullback to score. And then the one you're talking about was Dave Taylor. He got the ball out wide and he ran to the corner and he dived like a winger. Just seeing this big man dive in the corner like a winger.
Yeah, that's right.
Reece Wesser scored the match winner. And it was still 14 to go. But yeah, that was the end of the scoring there. And that was a memorable game that day. It was Anzac Day.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I mean, obviously any wins are memorable, but yeah, ones like that where you come back and that very, very good.
Yeah, well, I remember the one in Gosford. We won 42-22, and that intercept try by GI, it just had everyone on their feet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He came back from it he had the ACL injury the previous year, so it was great to see him test it. Similar to like it was seeing AJ get that intercept try last week after the injury he had.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of definitely tests your old injuries, especially like obviously leg injuries. And seeing AJ stride out, that was amazing. It's probably the most he's stretched out since his injury.
Well, it was, yeah. Yeah, well, we got the Pathways match, which is a rare one because it's played straight after first grade. So it's going to be interesting there. But we've named a very strong side this week, especially the backs. So good to having players back now. We're starting to get a bit more of a side back on the field, aren't we?
We are, and yeah, this will be definitely our strongest side this year. You know, having Tyrone back is great, and it'll be great to see him stride out as well.
Yeah, you've also got Jai Gray playing fullback. So as you mentioned before, it's probably to get him some game time, especially because we're going to need him against the Bulldogs because Latrell's going to be missing through Origin. So there's a couple of games where we're going to need him as fullback. But you've also got Hazen Mellors, who's just keeps getting stronger and stronger. He can't be too far away from a first grade call-up, could he?
No, I think he's very close. And yeah, it's been good seeing him get a good run of time on the field, you know, because he's been plagued with injuries in his time here at South. But it's good seeing him, you know, get it. What is it? It's about 9 or 10 games now under his belt.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the longest run that he's had since he's been at South. So hoping that he does it. And Davey Mawali in the front row. A noticeable omission is Shaq Mitchell. Not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Like, I watched the game, but I don't remember him getting injured and going off. But maybe just a slight injury, might miss a week or so.
Well, Celestia Tata is another one he's serving his second week of suspension, so he'll be back the following week. And Josh Schuster again has been named on the extended bench. Whether he plays or not is another thing. I've seen some reports that he's had his wrist strapped up, so maybe there's a niggling injury there for him.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen any real injury reports about him, but yeah, look, hopefully he gets to get on the field sometime soon. He was going all right when he was playing there, a few weeks ago and that.
Yeah, well, they had a bit of a disappointing loss, although albeit against the team coming first in the Warriors, but they still were a bit underwhelming, weren't they, last week?
They were, yeah. Like, there was a lot of soft tries, I thought, from the Warriors. Apart from that, they weren't. Like, they competed well, and they kept in the game, but yeah, in the end, they just didn't have anything in the halves, I don't think.
Yeah, well, is a important game for Lewis Dodd because he needs to start making his mark, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, certainly. He's been a bit disappointing, but I don't know what's going on there. Like, I think, maybe if he was in first grade with the better players, it might show a bit more, but yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. But
You need to step up in that level. I mean, his kicking game's fine, but he's not being creative enough, is he?
no, I don't think he runs the ball enough. I think his first thought is just to pass, and I don't think that suits his game.
One area that when I've watched highlights of him when he played over in the English Super League was his support play. That's one area that I've always thought that would be good for him, but you need more from your halfback than just support play and kicking, don't you?
Oh, you certainly do. He's the most important player, really. Like, he's the one that's supposed to get the forwards around the park, and But yeah, I haven't seen enough of him to say that he's ready to play first grade yet.
No, well, Jamie Humphries has got that spot, and you've got Cody Walker back now, and even Bud Sullivan's ahead of him. I imagine Jai Gray's also ahead of him in the pecking order there. So it's going to take a lot for him to get his opportunity, and he needs to start making a mark on New South Wales Cup now, because I don't know what South do with him if this is the level that he's going to be at, because we've got him for a few years on a big contract.
Yeah, we do, and but I don't know. Like, we might not have him next, like in the next year or so, if it doesn't work out. So he really does need to step up.
There are ways around it, I guess, but you need to put yourself in the shop window as well to do that. There's people up the top that are making those decisions that are a lot smarter than us.
Definitely, yeah. And they certainly know what's going on more than we do. We just go and support the team. That's it.
Heartbreak for our Jersey Fleet side last week, but beaten basically on the bell, weren't they?
They were, and yeah, it was very disappointing. Like, almost the last play of the game, really. They had a couple of sets of six afterwards, but they were never really going to come back and score, I didn't think.
Well, you had Charlie Poynton playing at fullback, had Matt Humphries in the wing, so Jacob Fong on the wing. A lot of these guys are stepping up from SC ball and doing a good job, aren't they? Because they've certainly turned around the fortunes in the last few weeks, haven't they?
They have, and they had another guy on the bench as well who was the SG Ball Player of the Year in Daniel Lau, and he scored a try, so that was good for him. But yeah, they're certainly going to be good coming through, I think. Like, the SG Ball side was very good this year.
An area we've probably lacked in the last few years is our pathways, but it seems that the work that Brent Hill and Dave Ferner have done in the off-season, we're going to see the rewards of that over the next 2 or 3 years, aren't we?
We will be, yeah, because, again, like I say, in the Harold Matts, there was a lot of good young players there, and SG Ball, definitely there's quite a few there that I think will come through and play like Jersey Fleet next year.
Well, it was a shame because we had a couple of injuries during the SG Ball season. Elijah Kung was one that late in the season come injured. It would have been great to see him make the step up into Jersey Fleet for this year to get him ready to go further up.
Yeah, well, he's a very good prospect. Like, runs very hard. He makes a lot of post-contact meters as well. So yeah, he's got a good future. Hopefully we keep him.
Another one was Kusku, the fullback. He started off on fire, and unfortunately injury held him back, and he came back, I believe, just during the finals, and probably rushed back a little bit to get him there, but he's certainly one to watch as well.
Definitely, yeah. Very good footwork, and at the start of the season, he was the best player in the competition, I think. But yeah, and then he got injured, and he came back, and I think he got injured again. Like, he kept playing, but
yeah,
it wasn't the same at that stage.
So speaking of injuries and that, we've got a Bailey Bentley Harper. He was injured last week. Jamie Humphries came off last week, and I believe it was only a cork, and he's been named this week, so it'll be interesting to see if he does take the field, which I think he should. I haven't been down to training or seen anyone that's given any reports from down at training at the moment, especially since we did play on a Sunday, so wouldn't have been much training earlier in the week. But you've got Cody Walker, Jack Whiten and Tyrone Munro back this week. I believe probably in about another 4 weeks we'll have Brandon Smith playing for us and also Pete Mamazelis back. So we're starting to get a few back. Ravalawa, I haven't heard anything about him. There was apparently a shoulder injury he did in that New South Wales Cup the other week, and he only lasted 10 minutes. So he would have been very useful to have last week, wouldn't he be, on the wing?
Yeah, for sure. Like up against their big wingers and that big body, you know. So, and we would have like needed with the go forward. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't been to training much lately with work and that. But no, it's we're getting some good players back now, which always helps. Hopefully we can have a good run to the finals.
Yeah, well, it's try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, because every time we do, there's more injuries. But we're kind of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel that we're getting these players back, and if we can somehow be in a good position at the back end of State of Origin with having Brandon Smith back, Pete Mamazelis back, and then we make a bit of a run and then get Cam Murray back. If that happens, how good would that be leading into the finals?
Oh, that would be enormous, you know, like getting Cam back at that point of the season. And, you know, we know that what he's gonna produce, you know. Doesn't matter if he hasn't had much time or whatever. He's always going to put in 110% every game.
Well, we got a couple of rumoured signings. One come out, there's been a little bit of talk about this, but it came out today that we were interested, but it looks like it's not going to happen, is that prop from Melbourne, Karma Kamitha. I mean, I would have loved just to sign him because of the song that the Burrow could have come up with to the tune of Karma Chameleon.
Yeah, well, we certainly need some big forwards, you know, going forward. Like our forward pack is fairly small compared to most of the other teams, but they've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, well, I've felt a lot of the games, you just have to look at the stats and see that we've been dominated so much, but we hang in there, and then our fitness gets us through. Most games we've finished stronger. Even last week against the Warriors, we finished stronger. So one thing I love about this side is they're not giving up. They're in the fight until the end, and it doesn't matter how much they're down there. They're not going to give in, are they?
No, that's right. That is one part of their game this year that's really been good is, you know, like staying in games and scrambling defence and that, keeping us in the game. So, yeah, if they can stay in the game early, I think they're a chance, obviously, of, you know, coming over the top.
The other rumour is about Taylor May, the former Penrith centre/winger. Rumour is that he was down at Heffron last week meeting with Wayne. Wayne has since come out and said that there's definitely interest in there. It certainly would be a great signing. I know a lot of people are a bit worried with his things that's happened off field or whatever, but on the field.
Oh, look, he's a great player, you know. It was only a couple of years ago he was like up to the top of the try-scoring list of the NRL. Yeah, look, the off-field stuff, hopefully Wayne will sort that out.
Well, what does Wayne say about choir boys? He doesn't mind to have a few bad boys in his side, as long as they do the job. That's certainly what Wayne's about. He's not worried about that. He seems to get them under control, doesn't he?
He does. And, yeah, for me, that's all I really care about too, is how they perform on the field. You know, if they're performing well on the field, then I'm happy.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if he does sign. I imagine that it is for this year. I'm not sure next year or whatever. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the makeup side if he does come in.
It will be very interesting because, like I say, we got Ty back and, you know, well, Ravalawa. I don't know if I can see him, like, staying with South next year.
No.
But especially if we get May, I don't think there's any chance.
But a lot of people talk about and say that could this mean the end of AJ?
Yeah, well, let's hope not anyway. But, you know, who knows? That'll be up to the board and that to make that decision.
There are rumours that he's going to re-sign. I think he's looking for 2 years and then maybe having a swan song in the new PNG side, which will be a perfect end for his career, wouldn't it?
It would be. You know, he plays for the Papua New Guinea side. So, yeah, I think he'd be like a star over there, because they're very passionate about their footy over there.
Well, anyway, this week we're down in, I mentioned before, we're down in Bay 73, which is the away supporters bay. For those making the trip down, I said before, make sure you do rug up. You probably see here behind us the Burrow scarves. We've got a few of those left. We won't be taking any down to the game with us this week, but our next home game against the Bulldogs, we'll have them available there. You can come and see me. We've only got a very few left. We sold some the other day, and they are great quality, aren't they?
They certainly are. And they're probably handy down in Canberra this weekend.
So, but we're also got we're going to try to put a bus on for the game against Manly at Brookvale. It's $20 for a seat there. Pick up and drop off at the juniors. Looking about, I think it's round 18, isn't it, against Manly? We play them on a Sunday.
Round 18.
We play them on the Sunday there. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff. So we'll be looking at pick up from the juniors around about midday, maybe 12:30, depending on whether there's a lower grade game there beforehand. But we'll post further details. Look on Facebook and you'll get the details of that. You can contact me, send me a private message on Facebook, or you can send an email to the Burrow. There it is below, and we'll add you on the list. It's 46-seater, so first in, best dressed there. You'll need to get your ticket for that game. Unfortunately, the area that we're in is sold out, but if you get it for the Southern Concourse, aim for the corner where we'll be. Just get there and you'll be right next to us anyway. Any last thoughts, Michael?
Look, just that, if you're keen to go to Manly, I think the bus is a very good idea, and come from the juniors and go back to the juniors, because there's not a lot of parking over that way. So, yeah, just come along.
Well, it's certainly a great atmosphere. I remember back in the day getting on the bus, going to Newcastle, other places. It's something we want to happen more. And if you're going alone, it's great to get to meet people as well, getting familiar with people, getting familiar with myself and Michael there. Come up and say hello to us. We really want to get you guys on the bus, and we want to make this a regular thing. But the other thing is also we're doing a lot more content there on YouTube. We've put a few videos out. We did the Alliance versus Acor. We had the podcast, but then we went out and I asked the fans there. It's certainly a lot of people are pro Alliance. There's a few that are for Acor, and we've got the video there for you guys to watch. Have a look at that. What about yourself? With the news this week of Alliance versus Acor, we had Joe Kelly, the Roosters CEO, come out, and he was quite adamant that he doesn't want us there.
Yeah, well, I can see why they don't want us there. I think we'll take over the place, I reckon, if we move back there. For me, obviously, I'm definitely pro Alliance, because for me, it's all about the atmosphere, because that's what we try to create at all the grounds, and that's going to help a great deal, I think.
Well, Luke Carroll, you've probably seen Luke on a few TV shows and that. Mad Rabbitohs supporter, great bloke. And I mean, when you talk about a South supporter, is there anything other than being mad? But he's done a great job in promoting the move back to Alliance. He's certainly leading the way, isn't he?
He certainly is, and and I think like over the last week or so, it's really been gathering a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of reports about it, a lot of like on social media. So yeah, let's do it. I reckon let's move.
Well, funny thing is, I convinced the Roosters supporter to sign a petition for us, so that was a bit funny.
Yeah, well, it would be.
But anyway, guys, leave us your comments about what your thoughts about the potential move to Alliance. We've seen a lot of people say it, but let us know here, and the club certainly appreciate getting the feedback from you all and that. But also don't forget to like and subscribe. For now, I'm your host, Josh, joined by Michael. Go the Rabbitohs.
Go the Bunnies.